I am so delighted to be here with you today. If you know me and where I live, it was really touch and go whether I was even going to be able to make it here today. I live in Florida, and we just got hit by a hurricane, so I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. So I'm excited to be here. It's truly an honor and privilege to welcome all of you beautiful people to the third annual Interledger Summit here in the beautiful city of Cape Town. As we come together this year, just as we have for the previous 3 years, we are reminded of the extraordinary times we're living in, seemingly on all fronts, but in the context of what brings us here today, technology, finance, and inclusivity are converging at an unprecedented pace. It is truly fitting that we come together in a place with such a rich history of resilience and innovation. For 4 years now, the Interledger Foundation has continued to evolve and expand its reach, enabling seamless payments across different networks and breaking down the barriers that once stood in the way of financial inclusion. This summit is not just a reflection of our collective progress, but also a testament to the growing global movement toward open, interoperable, and inclusive financial systems. We also throw some pretty epic dinner parties, as you all may know, tonight included. So, what have we been up to since we last came together? Well, it's been a lot. We spent a lot more time together this year with both each other and our partners such as JOPAC and PCH. We had retreats for the leadership team, work weeks for the tech team, attended a plethora of conferences, all in efforts to bring awareness to the incredible Interledger protocol. And it's starting to work. This paper from the Bank of International Settlement brought to my attention by our very own Costa Peric, who is on our board, specifically uses the concepts of ILP and even mentions it by name, although in lowercase. Interestingly enough, they didn't know of us as a foundation. So we use this as an opportunity to jumpstart conversations with the contributors of the paper and have since been engaged in ongoing discussions on how we can collaborate in the future. And this moves us in the right direction of our strategic influence component of our 5-year strategic plan, which I will talk more about tomorrow. Speaking of, our name has been in more publications than ever before, and we're starting to carve out a name for ourselves in the digital financial inclusion space, as well as we are a key element to DPI. One of our initiatives, the Dynamic Coalition of Digital Financial Inclusion, is now an official UN working group, and we have been invited to the United Nations Internet Governance Forum hosted by Saudi Arabia in December. Yesterday, we had an amazing meeting with the parliamentarians from 7 different African countries who are seated in our front row. Please give them a hand and welcome them to our amazing summit. Now, they proposed marriage to me yesterday, and I'm taking them up on that. This policy work was spearheaded by one of our esteemed ambassadors, Aidan Ferdeline. And now, please welcome my colleague, Chris Lawrence, who will talk more about our ambassadors and work with the programs team.
Well, thank you, Briana. That was a great transition, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about what is actually our longest running program here at the Interledger Foundation, and that is our ambassador program, which we mentioned Aidan. But I wanted to fill you in on our 3 other 2024 ambassadors and some of the work that they're doing. Victoria here is working in regions across the United States that have some of the lowest percentage of underbanked population, or unbanked populations even. That includes states like Louisiana, Mississippi, and New York. Smitri, as you can see here with these great quotes, is actually working on what it's like in rural India, where actually she is from, about the digital financial lives that these folks lead and what they need to join into the system. And Stephanie is working on what is a framework for human rights and privacy as people integrate the Interledger protocol. Aidan Smitri, and Victoria are all here giving sessions. I encourage you to go check them out, check out their sessions, talk to them. Stephanie couldn't be with us, but I know she's rooting us on and watching on the live stream. So 1, 2, 3, let's give a hi, Stephanie. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hi, Stephanie. So there she goes. We miss you. Actually, right now, we're working on our 2025 cohort of ambassadors, and we're really excited towards the end of the year, early next year, to announce who they will be, what they will be working on, and really they help us build our community and our collective knowledge for the work of digital financial inclusion in the Interledger Foundation. Our other long-running grant program is actually our Digital Financial Services Program, and this program really looks to spur innovation in open payments. These 4 projects here have moved on to our prototyping phase and are currently doing amazing work on the ground. That's everything from designing cross-border remittance pathways to enabling more efficient cross-ledger interactions, as well as revolutionizing the pay-as-you-go digital streaming payments. And actually last night, our digital wallet that we had here as one of our Phase 2 applicants was able to send $100 over a cross-border last night from one person here to an individual back in another country. So kind of an exciting impromptu moment there for this work. All 4 of these projects are here. They're doing sessions. I really encourage you to check them out and get a sense of what is happening on the ground as the integration of ILP and open payments becomes more and more of a reality. But one thing that we need to do in the program team is not just give grants, we also need to cultivate the stories, the people, the context in which our grant making takes place in. And one of the main things that we did this year was actually we launched the Future Money podcast. What this was is it tells the stories of our grantees, our partners, in long form, in deep dive, in a conversational way. We've had everything from conversations with some of our Future Money artists, who some of you may have seen present at last year's summit, to entrepreneurs like Uchi, as well as our very latest episode, which I think dropped just a couple days ago, with Interledger Protocol creators Stefan Thomas and Ethan. Sorry, Ethan Schwartz, there we go. Wherever you get your pods, I would suggest subscribing, liking, and listening to these podcasts. And I'd be remiss to say that our podcast is hosted by a company called Castapod, which is a Fediverse distributed web podcasting platform that lives our values and has actually been playing with web monetization now going over 3 years. Some of you may have talked to Benjamin at Castapod in the Innovation Exhibition last night, and so you heard a little bit about what they do. Just to give you some quick stats on this podcast, we've had 15 episodes this year, over 3,300 downloads, and if all of you go and subscribe and listen, that number will only jump. I'd also like to take an opportunity to talk about our team. So here you see Lawil, Aisha, and Julaire. And really, why I bring them up is because we've had a hard year in terms of this is hard work, giving away money. You'd be surprised, right? Giving away money seems like it would be easy, but it's actually not. And starting with this team that's designing, refining, and thinking about new programs all the time, we're able to give away this year from last year's summit to, as I stand here today and towards the end of the year, will be over 20 grants to over 10 countries, totaling almost over $4 million in grant awards. But it's not just these 3 folks. It is the entire Interledger team. To give away that kind of money, to support the grantees on the ground, and to think about how these grantees support our mission, that takes deep work from our operations team, deep work from our communications team, and especially deep work from our technology team to make this a reality. So thank you, team, for helping us to achieve those goals. But we can't just rely on our standard grant programs and stay static. We're always looking for ways to think of new methods, grants, procedures in which we can distribute resources to this growing ecosystem. And for this year in 2024, that is best exemplified by some of our work in education. Now, if you allow me, I'll tell you a bit of a story here. When Briana and I started working together 4 years ago, one of the things she said is, Chris, I'd really like to do some grant making and some programmatic work in education. And I was like, what? This doesn't seem like a real clear match to me. Now, I had spent a good amount of my career in education, so I was like, I've actually been trying to build those pathways, and I don't see them. And she said, well, figure it out. And so what we did was we started to do that. And I really accepted the challenge, and we started out with Bowie State University, and later we added the University of Cape Town. And this really taught us how to work with professors, how to work with students, what's it like to work with universities at large. And so at Bowie State University, a highlight of this year was we ran something called the Amtrakathon. You're like, what the heck? What basically is we took a student body, a group of students from Bowie State University, linked them to students at University of Cape Town, which I'll talk about in a second, as well as Fayetteville University in North Carolina, and they did a hackathon on the Amtrak train between Washington, D.C. and Fayetteville, North Carolina, where they were ideating, building, and, of course, eating a good amount of pizza along the way. Building off that work, UCT, which I'm going to talk about in a second, these were the two bedrock projects. They taught us so much. But we also said it can't just be the ones that we find, that we have relationships with, that we want to work with. It's time to open up this program to the world. So in 2024, we opened up our next-gen Interledger on-campus program, where we now have a rolling application for universities and colleges to apply to us to join in this global network at large, and now building a global network of universities. Innovating and building what I think is most important is a dynamic career pipeline into this work. I think most of us understand that what we're trying to do with open payments, with web monetization, with, quite frankly, systemic change in the digital financial world, is a slow process. Sometimes we were joking about it with the staff, sometimes it feels like we're selling flying cars, right? So to get with students, to get with youth, and start to build that pipeline towards this career, towards this industry, towards all these industries, is a really super exciting thing for us. Briana mentioned we were talking to the parliamentarians last night, and the room lit up when we talked about working with young people, working with students, understanding the younger generation, because they understand this technology, and if we can help them go into these fields, into these careers, that's going to be one of the most long-standing ways in which we can do this work and see it succeed. So I think I had a moment when we were at UCT just a couple days celebrating our sponsorship of their Financial Innovation Hub, where Briana and I kind of looked across, and I said, wow, Briana, you were really right, and I was wrong, and thank you for leading us on this journey. As I talk a little bit more about UCT, one of the things that's been super exciting for us is that they build local connections, they help us with hackathons, they help to energize the local community here in Cape Town. And with that, I'd love to hand off to my friend and colleague, Alex Lakatos, who will start taking up the Interledger story from there. Alex, come on up.
Chris was talking about the University of Cape Town. We have actually done a bit of work with the University of Cape Town students. One, because we have an office here and we can be a bit more engaged. And two, because seeing students hack with open payments helps us a lot in improving open payments. We've been here for about a week. If you've just flown in for the summit, you've missed the Interledger week in Cape Town. We kicked off the Interledger week with Interledger Hackathon.
Hello everyone, seeing all of you here for the Interledger Hackathon warms my heart.
I haven't worked with the Open Payments API before, so it's been really cool to kind of see how the protocol works.
They're giving us so much knowledge, so much ideas.
There's about 130, 140 people.
We've got just over 40 teams participating, which is great.
The solution that we came up with is using a natural language model that takes your transaction and creates a payload and send it to Open Payments.
It's been an awesome environment. It's really cool to see so many teams building.
Getting to interact with people. I love this experience.
Seeing that talent really excites me. It makes me hopeful for the future of this country and the future of the continent.
If you were here tonight, you've actually seen some of our winners. They were out in the exhibition, on the exhibition floor. We've had 140 people, from students to professionals, hacking on about 40 projects. It was an amazing event that taught us so much about open payments and documentation. We use events here in the tech team as a way to talk about Interledger into the world and raise awareness, and also as a way to get feedback on the things we're building so we can make them better for everyone else. We've been at 17 conferences this year in 11 countries. We've spoken to about 5,000 people, actually a little over 5,000 people. When we talk to people, everybody wants to wear something Interledger, so we've handed out thousands of stickers, hundreds of T-shirts, and I really do hope you got yours in the swag bag this morning. If you didn't, though, and you can find us at our next event, find Briana. She is our swag person. She's always happy to help you out. But when we go out to events, we talk mainly about two things. One of them is open payments, the Open Payments API. And the reason for that is it is the gateway into Interledger. Everyone in this room could technically today use open payments to have programmable money. Because of that, our biggest body of work this year has been the documentation portal. We've improved documentation to the point where with a very small team at the hackathon, we were able to support it, and everybody got to demo their open payments integration. Behind the scenes, and things that probably you've never heard of until today, is the fact that we have added more grant interactions, and we are working hard, really hard, to make open payments easier to use for everyone by having new client SDKs developed. We are a small but mighty team, and we could always use the help. If you're a developer in the room and you want to volunteer, find Briana, and she's going to help you contribute to the Open Payments SDKs. The other thing we're actively talking about and we're actively showcasing for people is web monetization. Now, probably the worst-kept secret at Interledger is the fact that we're working with the Chromium team on an integration of native web monetization into the browser. It made the news. It's got a lot of excitement and interest from other browser makers. But the browser making process is a multi-year process. We are, I would say, about 3 years into a 7-year process. And because of that, because by the time it makes it into the browser, it's going to take so long, we have actively developed a new web monetization extension that allows everyone with an Interledger wallet to become their own web monetization provider, kind of their own version of Coil. And for this to work for everyone, we've worked on a new and improved setup experience, which, if you want to find out more about what we're doing with web monetization and where we're going, there is a talk in the other room in about an hour and a half, where Bibi and Radu are going to tell you a lot more about web monetization. If you want to try out this new setup experience and web monetization in general, we have developed a new wallet, a new test wallet. Lovely Madalena helped us out with a really new and shiny design. The test wallet UI is designed, we've redesigned this from the ground up to help people get set up with Interledger faster, see a payment happen, and generally just see the benefits of Interledger out into the wild. One of the reasons why we had to create a new test wallet was because Interledger and Rafiki are always going to be limited by the underlying ledger that you're using. And the ledger that we started with was intentionally chosen to be a very limiting ledger, and we have hit the limits of our ledger, and we had to swap it out. Our friends at GitHub, who are in the audience, I hope, our friends at GitHub were kind enough to let us use their ledger. But one of the accidental benefits of swapping ledgers to GitHub is actually our test wallet is now a live wallet as well. So for the first time ever, you have a live Interledger wallet. Sadly, the live Interledger wallet only works for the people in this room that came to the summit. I think you got a little email before coming here that said we were working on a little surprise, and if you wanted a special gift, you should sign up. If you went and got the special gift, it looks a little bit like this, and that is an Interledger card. The live wallet has a live card with real money. Now, if you didn't realize the benefit of this, it has a little payment pointer on it. You can put this payment pointer into web monetization, earn money today, and go buy a coffee 5 minutes later. All of this work wouldn't be possible without our backbone, which is Rafiki. We use Rafiki everywhere. Rafiki is designed to be the reference implementation of Interledger is designed to speed adoption of Interledger. And because we've started using Rafiki with real-life scenarios, we've done a lot with Rafiki this year. So here at Interledger, we believe in security because Rafiki deals with people's money, and we work with a third-party security auditor to audit our code and our APIs on a rolling basis. So last year, we got the security review, and we've been working really hard this year to fix all the things that the security team found. And I think Max and Timea are going to talk more about that again, 2 doors over on the C stage a bit later on. But this is a rolling process for us. So we've fixed all the security that improvements that the third-party auditor found. We've released the data in the report, and now we're starting again. The security company is starting to do security testing of Rafiki all over again. One of the other things that this year allowed us to do was to monitor performance in real life. So far, Rafiki's performance has always been theoretical or in test environments. We have real-life Rafiki deployments that allow us to measure performance with real money in real time, and we're working on improving the performance because we understand the limitation is never going to be Rafiki. The limitation is always going to be the ledger underneath. We have taken Rafiki in production in more than digital wallets this year. We have worked on integrations with country-level instant payment systems, and that taught us that Rafiki was designed initially for a single account servicing entity, for a single wallet or a single bank. Now, if we go to a country and we have 20 banks in there, that means you'd have to deploy 20 Rafiki instances. That lengthens the adoption time of Interledger. So we are working on multi-tenancy so that a single Rafiki instance can serve a whole country, 20 banks at a time, everybody having their own little portion of Rafiki running just for them. Talking about these integrations actually taught us a lot, and that's because we are embedded in the integration team with our partners. One of them is the Jordan Payments and Clearing Company, which if you've been here on this stage in Costa Rica last year, you've heard about our work to integrate open payments into the country. We've had our very first demo day very successful, and that taught us about multi-tenancy. The other big integration that we've been working on this year is with our friends at PCH in Mexico. They have a version of Mojaloop running with about 45 micro banks. And when I say micro, you can see us all fitting inside of one of the banks, in the back room of one of the banks. We are looking over the shoulder of the cashier, and we've seen how banking happens in rural communities in real world. And that is all of us being amazed by the fact that if I want to send money to Huijing, for example, I have to go to the till, I have to give the cashier my account, the cashier will open up this desktop application, and because it's not connected to another desktop application, they have to open up a Google spreadsheet to check my balance, see if I have money in my account, and then I'm going to get my money in cash form, after which I have to hand back my cash so that Huijing can get it deposited into her account. All of this technology and what it's helping for, Briana's going to come up on stage and tell you a bit more about the people that the Interledger technology is helping. Thank you.
So what are we doing all of this work for? Who is this for? Why are we doing all of these things? Yes, this is great in theory, but what are we really trying to do? I want to tell you, show you a short video of a story of Gabriela, who lives in the mountains of Puebla in Mexico, and Coatzacoalcos. Did I get that right, Pedro? Roberto, did I get that right? Coatzacoalcos. Okay, I'm not sure if he's here. But Gabriela lives in the mountains. She gets remittances from her husband, who is based in the US, and she also sells food on the side. Coatzacoalcos is an advisor from one of the microbanks who tries to tell people about how to use their transactions and how to learn about digital financial access.
Puedes tener más tiempo cuando trabajamos, salimos temprano y luego los bancos se abren hasta las 9. Y cuando ya de regreso, a veces llegamos a las 8 o 9 de la noche. Y de ahí, pues igual los bancos se cierran. Y luego me presionan que a qué hora mando el dinero, que en qué banco lo mandé, y así me presiona. Y le digo, es que llegué tarde, no alcancé el banco, mejor mañana, le digo ya.
La operación a los clientes, a los socios, donde ahorren tiempo, donde haya más seguridad en cuanto al manejo de efectivo, en cuanto al manejo de sus recursos.
So these are the people who we do this for the Gabrielas of the world who can have equitable access, just like most of us do right now. We have access to different financial systems. Why shouldn't they? This year's theme, Unleashing the Power of Interledger, resonates deeply with the challenges and opportunities facing both developing and developed economies. As we stand on the brink of transformative change in the way that we exchange value, there has never been a more urgent need for collaboration, creativity, and commitment from all stakeholders in this ecosystem. This is why we are gathered here, not only to discuss advancements, but also to foster meaningful conversations and connections that will drive the next wave of financial innovations. Over the coming days, we'll hear from thought leaders, industry experts, and pioneers who are shaping the future of digital finance. Cape Town is a city that embodies the spirit of transformation, much like the work that we are doing through the Interledger Protocol. So as we engage in discussions, debates, and brainstorming, let's remain inspired by the idea that together we can create a future where anyone, anywhere, has access to a connected and fair financial system. I want to extend my deepest gratitude to all of you who have traveled far and wide to be here today. This journey was not easy for a lot of us, but I hope you leave here feeling fulfilled and inspired. Your commitment to advancing this vision is what makes this community strong and resilient. Let's use this opportunity to push boundaries, challenge the status quo, and build the bridges that will shape tomorrow's systems. Once again, welcome to the Interledger Summit, and let's make this year's gathering our best ever. Thank you.